In our previous tutorial, we got up to the point where we can actually specify the size of the dice. So if we want a 6-sided die, it'll give us numbers between 1 and 6. Or if we wanted a 100-sided dice, it'll give us numbers between 1 and 100. In this tutorial, we're going to look at rolling it for the number of times the user has specified, and therefore displaying each dice roll as it occurs. So let's get underway. Now, because we know the number of dice rolls required, because the user is going to determine that, we can actually use a fixed loop rather than a conditional loop. So to use a fixed loop, we're going to use the for do loop. In our programming, we collect the number of rolls from the user interface and we store it in number of rolls, so we know how long we have to roll the dice for. Currently our program rolls the dice once. So in our processing section, we want to set up what's called a fixed iteration or a for do loop. So we want to say for I equals 1, 2, and we want to go for the number of times the user has determined, so we're going to use number of rolls. Now at the moment I isn't declared, so up on our integers we can actually add I as a variable. So we can go dim I as an integer, and you'll notice that I now is there, and we can go down the bottom here, next I, and therefore this loop will continue the number of times the dice is rolled. To see this working, I'm just going to put a line of code in here and go debug.writeline, and I'm just going to put in I, and then use an N symbol, and then I'm just going to put an indicator in there, so it should say, like, for the first time through 1, and then I would like to see the dice roll, so I'm just going to put another N symbol, which is our concatenator, and put I roll result, and I'm going to hit play. So at the moment it should roll for 10 times, so I'm going to hit roll dice. You notice that we only see a 3, but in our output we can actually see the 10 minus 3, which is the last one was a 3, the dice rolled. If I change the dice size, say to 100, or number of rolls to 100, and the dice size to 21, while I only see 19 there, there's 100 rolls that occur, and you can see all the different numbers that come out for that dice roll. So at the moment the program is working correctly and we're getting the right output, but only in the debug window. Because every time we go txt output, it displays only once. If we move this inside our loop, each time we go through the loop, it will overwrite what was previously there. Now we can add a plus equal sign, and therefore txt output.text plus equals I, the string result. So what we need to do is add a return carriage on every line. So we're going to come up and go add, which is an N symbol for concatenation, end, and then we're going to use a new command called environment dot new line, bracket, bracket, and we're going to place all that into one big bracket. So every time we append a new line, it also put a return carriage in as well. And remember to remove the output line at the bottom here. So as this loops through from 1 through to the number of rolls, it'll roll a random number, display the random number, also put it out in the developer area as well. So let's hit start and stay with the 6 and 10. We can see 6 through to 5, the same as the output here. Now we can actually concatenate our information coming out here as well. So we can actually put in the dice rolls. So we could actually improve our text string and go dice roll number, and then we can actually use the end quote, the concatenator, the end symbol, so that can actually put in the dice roll. So, and then we can actually put the dice roll number, which is then the variable I, because I will increment 1, 2, 3, etc. So we can actually display I. We'll put that to toString as well. And then we can append a space. So we need to put a quote and another N symbol. So if I make this a little smaller here, you will see that the dice roll number, and it should show 1 on the first one, and puts a space after the number, and then shows us the result. So we can put a little symbol in here like this, so there's space in the result. Let's have a look at the output. Dice number 1 was a 3, dice number 6 was a 1, dice number 10 was a 1. So you can see by using the concatenators we can make very complex sentences in our output. Now that we're not using the debug.writeline command, we can actually then just rem that out. So I hope you found this tutorial useful, using fixed iteration, also using user input to control the number of roles that are required, and using concatenating fields to actually make complex sentences, and also a new command called environment.newline to put a return space into our text box to have multi-lines. The very last thing I want to leave you with, if the user comes in and decides I want, say, 100 roles and roll the dice, notice we can only see 20. To ensure that the user can actually see all 100 roles, if I click on the text box and look in the properties, you can see that scroll bars has got none at the moment. I can actually turn on the horizontal or vertical or both. Because we just want it going up and down, I'm just going to put the vertical one on. So when the program runs now, and I select 100, you can then scroll down and see what all the dice faces were. So I hope you found this tutorial useful. Remember to give it a like and subscribe to my channel, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.